All right, what's going on, boys? It's Keg from Rum Pure Bets. A little free pick action for the main event tonight of UFC Fight Night. Derek Brunson against Kevin Holland. Let me pull up the odds real quick. Right now, Kevin Holland is almost a $2 favorite. Comeback on Derek Brunson, about plus 160. Now, for those that I guess aren't familiar, Derek Brunson over the years has been a pretty solid fighter, but to be fair, he's starting to get a little long in the tooth. He went into his last fight a few fights back against Elias Theodoro, and at that point in time, he had lost 4 of his last 6. And it had looked like the best of Derek Brunson was behind him because it looked like he was getting older. But then he rattles off 3 straight wins and did so impressively. He got the win against Elias Theodoro. Then he beats Ian Heinisch. Then he beats a prospect that had a ton of hype behind him in Edmund Shabazian. And if I'm being honest, I faded Derek Brunson a couple times during that winning streak, and he beat me both times. Now, he's been around for a long time, and we pretty much know the script on Derek Brunson. He's a wrestler first and foremost. He came into the UFC as a Division II All-American out of, I think, UNC Pembroke, I want to say. And, you know, he has used his wrestling game as the pillar of his MMA game throughout his career. But the older that Brunson got, the more his chin started to become exposed. Now, he's been knocked out 5 times. That's a lot, man. You know, once your knockout losses start to get into the neighborhood of 4, 5, you start to see degenerative factors every fight in a fighter's chin. And it's no different for Brunson. Now, the reason why he's been reeling off these wins is because his wrestling has worked lately, and nobody has really hit Derek Brunson that clean on the button to drop him. I think he was dropped a couple times. I think Ian Heinisch hit him with a nice leg kick, but it didn't drop him. I think Shabazian might have hurt him a little bit in round 1. But that chin, it's still a liability. And the question in the fight is, you know, can Derek Brunson close the range, use his grappling so he can stay inside the range of Kevin Holland? Because Kevin Holland throws bolos. And, you know, we saw Derek Brunson get away from his wrestling in the middle part of his career and thought he was, you know, striking aficionado, and it didn't work out very well for him. So he went back to the wrestling. He's not afraid to consistently chain takedowns until he gets them. And like I said, if you take a look at his recent success, it's truly been predicated on the fact that he went back to using that wrestling game instead of trying to knock people out. But the issue that caused Brunson all those knockout losses towards the middle of his career is he tends to always charge his opponents to get takedowns with his jaw in the air before he goes for level changes. And it hasn't really worked out for him, okay? Now, I think it takes a skilled counter striker to take advantage of that. So I guess, you know, the other question is Kevin Holland skilled enough on the feet to take advantage of that? And if I'm being honest, I think he is. You know, like I don't even know if I mentioned this earlier, but Kevin Holland, 2020 UFC Fighter of the Year, 5 fights, 5 wins in 2020, and all of them impressively. So he's got a rock-solid striking game. He can pick you apart from range. He can get inside the pocket and piece you up. You know, I think most of his striking game is built off a really solid jab that sets everything up. And he's pretty fast. His hand speed is fast for a middleweight. He's got great footwork when he's striking, but he does turn the circle out into takedown attempts. And we've seen it a lot. That's probably the biggest issue with Kevin Holland, is he's been taken down rather easily in a bunch of fights. But his saving grace has been he's incredibly hard to keep down. Like, even in the fight against Jacare Souza, might it have turned out differently if he didn't knock Jacare Souza basically out from off his back? That fight could have ended differently. Jacare could have had control probably for most of the fight, because it's not that hard to take Kevin Holland down. But, Kevin Holland got the knockout off his back, which is absurd. But, there's been a couple times where you say to yourself, somebody with better top control wrestling might be able to take advantage of how easy it is to get Kevin Holland to the ground if you can keep him down on the ground. So I think another factor that points to his win is how he stands his ground when his opponents enter a striking exchange or even chain takedown attempts. He's not afraid to throw that counter check hook, and that has hurt Derek Brunson a lot in the past. So if you add in the fact that I think Kevin Holland's 6-0 against UFC Southpaws, so he clearly sees something when his opponents come from an unorthodox position. I think that he gets the best of Derek Brunson here. I bought into what I've seen from Kevin Holland in the last year and change. I was skeptical in the beginning, but I do think that he's a real contender at 185 pounds. And we know Derek Brunson's the middleweight gatekeeper. You're not taken seriously as a contender and a legitimate top 10 guy until you beat Derek Brunson. That's been the story in the UFC middleweight division for a long time. So I think Derek Brunson is incredibly hittable, and that will not serve him well tonight. His head rarely moves off the center line on entry, and in the end, I think Kevin Holland's probably going to be able to take advantage of it and get it done. Now, with all that said, if Brunson can avoid the big shots from Kevin Holland, I think he's a live dog. He's the type of live dog that we have seen cashing tickets in 2021. It's been the year of the dog. I think UFC underdogs are hitting somewhere around 41%. So, to start the year, it's clearly been the year of the underdog. We're seeing a ton of prospects with a lot of hype shit the bed, and we're seeing a lot of older fighters at dog prices getting the job done. That's been the story of 2021 so far. So I do think that, he's a live dog, but I'm going to pick Kevin Holland to win the fight. Now, the issue is Kevin Holland opened up as an underdog, and he's now like a minus 190 favorite. So there's no way you could take him on the money line. That value is long gone. So the only way I think that you can take him here, if you're going to bet the fight, is to take him by knockout in that plus 120 range. Now, if you lost value on the money line, you lost value on the knockout prop also, right? We know that about betting. But plus 120 is a way better price than minus 190. But, it's a free pick video. Got to give out a pick. Considering the current odds, I think that's the most likely option for you to cash a ticket and not get killed, is to take the 1 unit shot on Kevin Holland at plus 120 by knockout. And if he gets it done, awesome. If he doesn't, at least you didn't get killed. So, we'll take Kevin Holland by knockout at plus 120. Now, I was going to break down the co-main event between Gregor Gillespie and Brad Riddell, but That fight literally got pulled from the card a few hours ago. So I guess we'll leave it there for this week. Before I go, Rumpier's had a great month on the DFS side. Tony and the boys absolutely crushing, making millions, literally. And the bet side, it's been a great month. I think we're up like 15, 16 units, something like that. So I would sign up for a month if I wasn't an owner. $60 a month for the bet side, $100 a month for the DFS and bet side combined. You know how much to lose. I think you can get a promo code for the bet side. That's 25 off for 25% off the bet side, or Heater 25, and you can get 25% off the DFS and bet side combined, which is $100. So you'd pay what, about $75 for the month. Not a bad deal. Sick amount of content, sick amount of winners, have access to everything. I think we're one of the best sites in what we do. That's just me. But yeah, aside from that, I guess I'll leave it there, boys. I'll be on in about 20 minutes with Coop to break down the NASCAR Cup race for tomorrow. And after that, at 5 o'clock, I'll be live for subscribers all night long, live betting NASCAR. We got the Xfinity race today, the UFC, March Madness galore. We got the NBA tonight. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Aside from that, I hope your action runs pure this weekend. Hope you catch those winners, and I'll see you soon. I'm out.